Hello and welcome to Where Women Talk. I'm Nadia Giordana, and I have a terrific guest today, Janice Strootman. She is an amazing woman who swam the Alcatraz Swim at age 70, and that's an extremely difficult feat. Let's go talk to her and find out how she did it. Welcome, Jan, to the show today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me.
I'm glad you could make it. Let's start by talking about. I told the viewers about your Alcatraz swim. How in the world did you get started on that? What made you think you could do that at age 70? I'm almost virtually the same age. We're probably only a couple years apart. Holy cow. You have the floor.
Well, years ago, I was lifeguarding at Long Lake in New Brighton with a fellow that I used to talk to about all the things that we'd like to do someday. And I had mentioned, wouldn't it be fun and interesting to do the Alcatraz swim? Well, I was 19 years old at the time. And so I happened to see him. I hadn't seen him for years. He moved out to San Francisco. He uh, was a master swimmer, and he happened to be in town, and we had dinner. And the first thing out of his mouth, this was 50 years later now. I remember you always wanted to do the Alcatraz swim. When are you
At 19.
Exactly. Did I say that? No. I said, "Oh, you remembered that?" First of all, I was incredulous that he remembered it, that I wanted to do that. So then he kept talking about, well, let me go back to San Francisco and check out some things, and you see how you're doing with your swimming. Well, I hadn't been in a pool for over a year because Denny and I had just gotten back from Slovakia. We were teaching over there. So I didn't know if I could swim one length, let alone a mile and a half, which is what the Alcatraz swim is. And that's in good conditions. And I didn't have good conditions. But anyway, so the next day I went to the Y, and I thought, okay, 106 lengths is how many I have to do. I haven't been in the pool for a year. Well, I just put my head down, started swimming, and said, okay, just do it. So I swam until I did 106 lengths. So got out of the pool, and I thought, okay, I can do the distance. I don't know about anything else though, but we talked back and forth, and before you know it, I had signed up to do it. And so I trained myself. I didn't have a coach here. He was in San Francisco. So I just didn't know what I needed to do, but I did talk to the swim coach at the Edina Y, and he said, I have good news and bad news for you. The good news is you don't need me. The bad news is you don't need me. He said, I'm not going to make any money coaching you because you don't need it. But he said, you do need to swim a lot. And so I did. So I went to the Bloomington outdoor pool. I went to the Edina pool and just swam. Richfield pool too, and just swam. But
And you had that distance of a mile and a half.
Yes.
Is that the distance who those two men were that broke out of Alcatraz? Is this a clone of the distance that they swam?
Pretty much.
Go ahead.
Because the day of the swim, the ferries took us out to Alcatraz, and we swam from Alcatraz to shore.
Wow. What a feat. And when you dove in the water, I read your story. I'll brag a little bit here. We published your story in the magazine that I published, Wink Writers in the Know. And I just read it again this morning. And that's a dangerous swim. And you have spotters to watch over you. But yours wasn't there when you first jumped in. Is that correct?
Never showed up.
What the heck happened?
Have no idea.
And yet you made it all the way across.
Yes, and the night before the swim, we had uh, the meeting where you go and pick up your packet, and we had the dinner, and I was listening to people talk about their adventures and what we needed to do. And then there was a lady sitting next to me that I started talking to, and Mike leaned over to her and says, "Go ahead and talk to her. Your pilot will be with you. You don't need to know this stuff." Well, I should have been paying attention because my pilot didn't come. And so I didn't know where I was supposed to go. So the day of the event, when I jumped in, I didn't feel the cold of the water at all because I had other things on my mind. Like the waves were over my head, number one. Couldn't see anything because when I jumped, salt water got in the right pocket of my goggles, so I couldn't see. Couldn't hear because I use hearing aids. So I was out there swimming in San Francisco Bay, and I can't hear and I can't swim. I can't hear and I can't see. So anyway,
And
uh,
hardened criminals can't make that swim.
grief. Well, what was I supposed to do? I knew I was in serious or could be in serious trouble when I saw a kayak up on top of a wave, and then the next second it was gone. That's how high those waves were. And I thought, oh my goodness, if I don't start swimming, I'm in trouble. So I just put my head down and went. And of course I was going the wrong direction because the ferry, when we jumped, it turned the way the waves were going. So I was going out to sea. I didn't even know it. So then jet ski came and turned me around and said, "You need to go back the other way and join the group." Oh, I can't see. I didn't know. So there you have it. It took me an hour and 40 minutes, and I can see why you can get hypothermia. That water is not just cold, it's a bitter, paralyzing cold. I should have trained filling with my bathtub filled with ice cubes. That's what I should have done.
Getting you used to it. And your family flew out from where to cheer you?
Hawaii. My daughter, son-in-law, flew out from Hawaii to watch the swim.
And that was a surprise to you, wasn't it?
Total surprise. I
Oh
couldn't.
my gosh.
Just
Well, I am so proud of you. I still, my jaw drops every time I talk to you about this because, well, I'll tell you what, let's talk a little bit. You're a writer like I am. You wrote about this story. Tell me a little bit about your writing life and what that's like. When I will put your email up on the screen afterwards, you don't have to tell us that. I'll put that up myself. But tell us about your writing life.
Okay. After the Alcatraz swim, I thought to myself, well, what's next? What should I do next? And so I decided, a friend of mine who is also on the board of directors at the Loft told me that she suggested that I take the year-long writing class at the Loft. And so I signed up for it. My teacher is Gretchen Marquette. She's written a book, Mayday, and Marge has written a lot of things too and had them published. And I thought, okay, this will be going back to school. I'll be like a full-time student. And it's true. I am learning so much, reading so much, and it's hard work. Writing is hard work.
It is.
Edit, edit, edit. And my writing life started really just a few years ago when I was asked to join WOW.
Mm-hmm. And I'm in that same group.
I'm in WOW 1. Connie Anderson is the leader, and the first meeting I went to, my mouth dropped open at how wonderful these ladies were, how knowledgeable, how successful in their careers they had all been. And I thought, what am I doing here? I don't have anything to contribute here.
And it made sense after a while, didn't it?
Well, they encouraged me, and you encouraged me. So, and I thought that was just wonderful that I had an opportunity to speak and meet and get together with these wonderful ladies. They're incredible, incredibly talented. So that's why I decided to expand and go into the year-long writing class.
Mhm.
And I'm hoping by the end of the year to have a chapbook done,
Oh,
ready
sure.
for publication. So I'm working on that. And then I'll keep writing, because I had a great grandmother who wrote about coming across the plains in a covered wagon.
Oh,
She talked about the wagon circling, she saw a lynching, and she was 17 years old when she had her first child, and she had 13 kids.
oh
When
my
did
gosh.
when did that woman have time to write? I have no idea.
I don't know. My jaw drops. I am so amazed at pioneer women. I would never have survived.
Me either. And to think she wrote all this down. And I really wasn't interested in that when I was raising my own family. But I thought, now I am. And I thought, I should write things down that Danny and I have done,
Yes.
and that, I've done just for my grandkids someday. Maybe they'd be interested in it. Who
They
knows?
will be.
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and you and I are going to be involved in a poetry study group coming up in a couple of weeks. And that also will be loads of fun. You'll be able to share with us some of the things you learned in the classes at the loft.
Mhm.
And just the other day, you sent me some cinquains. I'm looking forward to reading those and sharing those with the group. So we'll be
Thank you.
enjoying a lot of the old classics and modern classics that we're doing. So anyway, any final words of wisdom?
Not really. In these days, writing is a good outlet, and I am writing or reading. I just revisited the Invisible Knapsack by Peggy McIntosh, who talks about how people of color have all these invisible things they carry around with them that we don't. And I reread that because when I had seed training, seeking educational equity and diversity, back when I was a young teacher, that stuck with me. And I've sent that article to many people because it just talks about how people of color don't have the same
It's
opportunities. They wake up in the morning and they have a whole knapsack full of things that we don't even have to think about.
Thank you for watching. Tune in next time for more of Where Women Talk, Social Media TV.